All right. Well, what happened? What the? Hello, class. Sorry about that. We're back, and today we're going to talk about conflict theory and deviance. So, the basic handle of this, and we got into it with that video the other day, that deviance is determined by the powerful people in society, and it's a whole, they want to keep you down, or they want to keep, how about us down, or we want to keep them down. It's the whole us them kind of thing, where you're dividing society into two groups. So one of the things they point to, people with this belief, is the disproportionate statistical relationship between minorities and incarceration. Okay, what does this even mean? Okay, what are disproportionate statistics? Disproportionate statistics would be, let's say, let's just go through the examples. Okay. Oh, look at that. So, the black population of the United States is 13%. However, it is 40% of the prison population. And of all people that get the death penalty, 42% are African American. Now, the reasons is that this is disproportionate is that if it were proportionate, it would be around 13 in each case. Maybe 10, maybe 15, whatever. But so they're saying this is not an accident. There's some inequality in the system, and so if it were proportional statistics, we would have 13% in these different cases right here. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So with conflict theory, they talk about minorities receiving unequal treatment in the criminal justice system. For example, same crime committed, African American and Latinos are more likely than whites to be convicted, and when convicted, more likely to serve more prison time than whites. So with conflict theory, they say, what's going on here? There's got to be some kind of built-in racism in the system. Is that true? You be the judge. We'll find out. Prosecutors are less likely to seek the death penalty when an African American has been killed. But when an African American is the victim, judges and juries are less likely to impose the death penalty. And that's something we're gonna get back to that later. So why? Why is this? Well, some people would say it might have to do with, do you have a better lawyer? You might get a better result in court. It could be a money issue, or it could be some kind of bias issue. Because, just like the opposite of on the previous page, a crime against a white person tends to be punished more severely than a crime against a minority individual. And so with conflict theory, they're saying society, and by society, really they mean the powerful. So let me just add that here. So the people in charge, who they basically say are all white people, or majority, see minority interests as less important than those of white people. And this is what is called victim discounting. This is a key term to learn. So kind of, this lower status of people in victim discounting, if they're less valuable, they're going to get, the person committing the crime against someone who doesn't count as much is not going to get as much of a sentence. And so in conflict theory, they mostly break this down by race. So discounting as in it doesn't count as much because that victim is not as important. That's the easy, quick definition. So public reaction to, and who's this gonna be? Let's find out. Can we recognize him yet? Yes, we can. So the O.J. Simpson trial. A lot of you are familiar with it. Looking for something on Netflix. There's a great show about it. When he was found not guilty in court, the black population, and I think we talked about this in class, the black population of Los Angeles and in many other places around the country was cheering and all excited because they looked at him as someone who, a black man that beat the system. And even though the evidence was, he did it. Everyone knows he did it. That wasn't what was really important. It was that a black man finally beat the system, especially in Los Angeles, because of these prior stats and the history that we've learned about Los Angeles with the police and the black communities. Okay, white collar crime. This is, so we talked about blue collar and white collar, right, when we did the different economic systems. So white collar crime, just consider it like office crime. So it's not going on out on the streets. It's not violent. It's not, well, it is stealing. We'll get to that. But with white collar crime, here is Martha Stewart, who was arrested for being involved in insider trading, and she went to prison. And then she was on the cover of this magazine with her, she was redecorating her jail cell. Okay, what is a white collar crime? High status crimes, mostly at work. So insider trading, that's when you cheat on the stock market. If you know that you have information that other people don't have, and you either buy a lot of a stock because you know it's going to go up, or you sell a bunch of your stock because you know it's about to go down and the public doesn't know this yet. You're not allowed to do that. Insurance fraud, it's like taking out a policy on your house and then setting it on fire to collect the money. Embezzlement. Let's see, does anyone know what this term means? Hopefully you don't do it. But embezzlement. All right, let's say you are the school treasurer and maybe you're in this class. I don't know. What if you were responsible for taking all the tag day money and, I don't know, we got $200 on a tag day. I don't know what the normal amount is, but you just put $20 in your pocket and said, oh, we got $180. That's embezzlement. And you go to prison for it when you are in charge of a company's finances and you are stealing, thousands, tens of thousands, even up to hundreds of thousands or millions. And then tax evasion is cheating on your taxes. So what kind of prisons do white-collar crime people go to? Oops. Oh, here's just more about how serious it is. So stock market fraud, this is, 40 billion is lost. Businesses lose about 10 billion a year. And actually, since our textbook is from around the time that most of you were born, I would guess all of these numbers are up. Unless a couple years ago I may have looked them up and updated, but to be perfectly honest, I don't remember. Okay, what kind of punishments do white-collar criminals receive? So these are mostly wealthy people in really high-paying positions. For example, in the last week or two, 3 senators have been caught insider trading by selling off stocks in companies that they knew were going to get hit by coronavirus before they were on some special secret committee or some public health committee, and they were like, oh, this is going to close down businesses, so they sold off all their stock. They should go to prison. They probably won't. Congress is notorious for insider trading because they're the ones that regulate the SEC, which is the people. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. But so probation, 40% for antitrust. Oh, back to history. So think of Teddy Roosevelt is a trust buster and you get in trouble. Well, 40% are just going to get probation, which means, just give us your word you won't do it again. 60 fraud people and 70% of embezzlers just get probation. So basically no jail time. Again, now, so is this society saying, well, these people are more important, they're really rich and really powerful? Or does that wealth and power allow them, just like O.J. Simpson, to spend hundreds of $1,000s on the best attorneys in the country? And that's what gets them off. So conflict theory would say it's all about the power. Functionalism would say it's more about your income and your ability to spend money on the lawyers. That's why O.J. Simpson's interesting, because he's a black man in Los Angeles, but he's also the super famous, super rich celebrity. So he kind of is in both camps there. The prison sentences are usually shorter. And white-collar prisons are pretty nice places to go. So I'd like to have a tennis court outside and get to have yoga classes whenever I want, and HBO and all that stuff. You don't get that. You don't get that in a normal prison with violent offenders. Martha Stewart's prison, the nickname for it, I don't think anyone would know this, but Camp Cupcake, because it was so easy to go to. All right. Oh, that's it for this. Okay, I thought it was going to take longer. Your assignment, you're going to read. I want you to read through Chapter 7, Section 4, and then answer questions 1 through 4 at the end. And question 4, pay close attention to, because it's going to ask you, how can conflict theory be misused to explain deviance? And if that's a bit confusing, just think about it. How could someone take what conflict theory says, which is that, again, it's, the haves versus the have-nots, it's the powerful, it's the rich, it's racial majorities against racial minorities. How can they use that to explain deviance, or misuse it to explain deviance? Think of misuse as justify. So how could because some people do this, how could they maybe justify deviance? Okay, that's all for today, and I really hope Edpuzzle works, because yesterday it was a complete disaster, as I'm sure a bunch of you know.